Good evening, everyone. I'm Tadine Neishonette, and this is This Little Life of Mine. I am starting this podcast because I wanted to talk about my experiences in life, and hopefully other people can relate and work on healing from it themselves. This is not by any means to make anyone look bad or to bash anybody. This is just my story, and I've been inspired to share it. I've wanted to share it for a long time, but I've been reluctant to because the people that would probably look bad in the scenarios are still alive, and I am not one to try to ruin anyone per se. So, anyways, I thought I'd start off by letting you guys know where I am in life. I am currently living in Los Angeles, California. I am no longer a wife. I had to give up that title about a year and a half ago because the marriage just wasn't working. There were promises made that were unkept. No matter what I did, there was nothing that was going to be right to get my person to do what they promised or what we really got into this marriage to accomplish. So unfortunately, had to leave the marriage with little to nothing but my freedom, and there's no price that anyone can pay for freedom. So I'm currently living in Los Angeles by myself, which has been quite a journey. It's been rough, to say the least, but I'm in a really good place mentally and emotionally. I think my biggest struggle right now is financially, because I've been trying to work on starting a business, but when your ultimate goal isn't being nurtured by all the other things that you're doing, it can be kind of devastating at times. So I came to Los Angeles because I am an aspiring filmmaker. I started off acting in the 10th grade. I fell in love with it. I caught this bug that only crazy people seem to catch, but I am now officially one of those crazy people. I have not been able to shake the bug. I have done different things like real estate. I worked in restaurants where I could have been a manager. I've so many different things, but nothing was fulfilling enough for me as getting an audition or even booking a role, being requested to do things. I just love being on set. I don't have to necessarily be on set or a part of a production as an actor, is what I've learned over the years, is that I just really love the process of filmmaking and theater production, and just to being able to put a story together that that will make people feel and think and talk and find new perspectives in life. So that's kind of where I am right now. So I'm really just now kind of focused on building that right now. So I've been going to networking events and such, and it's just been really inspiring. And I think tonight was probably one of the most inspiring moments in this since I've been here in 3 years. It's been 3 years since I've been in Los Angeles, and I just kind of felt like things weren't going anywhere because even though I had like financial backing from my ex-husband, I didn't have like the emotional and mental support that I needed. And what I meant by that was that for instance, I had gotten cast for a role as a male presenting lesbian or a masculine lesbian, and the first thing he asked me was, "Do you have to kiss anybody?" And even though, yes, whether or not I had to kiss someone in the movie or the scene or whatever, the problem with that statement was that now I'm like, ultimately now in my head, like, how is this going to affect my marriage? So I do find myself from time to time, based on certain questions that are being asked, not pursuing as I should, because my marriage was important to me. I wanted to start a family with this person, but that person didn't want that. They just wanted me, which a lot of women would be flattered by, but I didn't really get married to just be married. I got married to start a family, to start something that I was never really a part of. I've 2 parents that are alive. I have lots of brothers and sisters, but the way I grew up was that I was kind of like the outsider in every household that I was in. started in Jamaica, where I was living with my grandmother, and I had cousins that had their own siblings, and I was always just the singular there. When I came to America, I had siblings, but they were half siblings, and in that household they had their moms, and I had no one, because my dad used to travel a lot, and so I was always just kind of like the outsider in every household that I ended up in, which is kind of it made me independent, which is fine. I love being independent, but what it did, the trauma that came from that, was that I didn't really feel like I had anyone that I could depend on. There was no one that was truly invested in me as an individual. The woman that gave birth to me was so easy. It's so easy for her to just give me to my father's family, because that meant. And I did ask her. I was like, why did you just give me up like that? And she just said, I don't really have an excuse other than I really enjoyed partying. I enjoyed going out and things like that. So that was kind of heartbreaking, but it was honest, and I have to respect her for that. My father, on the other hand, I think he did his best as a man towards his children when he could. Situations happened to where he couldn't really provide as he used to when we were younger. When we were younger, we had literally everything we wanted. Not so much everything that we needed, but definitely everything that we wanted. We were in name brands. We had all of the game systems. We had DVD players. We had tablets before tablets were tablets. So we weren't really for want as far when it came to materialistic things. But I think where things fell short was that there was no real nurturing. Maybe I don't know if that's the same for a lot of my siblings, because the difference between them and me was that they did have their mothers around to help them and be there for them, while I didn't really have my mother. My mother was never really a part of my life. She didn't really raise me. She didn't raise me. Let's just put it that way. She didn't raise me. She left it to the world to raise me. So when I meet people now in my life, I am who I am. I don't know if it's because of my experience of being the loner, but I'm always just one that wants people to feel included, and loved and cared for. And it doesn't matter if I just met you in the moment. I just kind of have this sense of whether someone needs that extra TLC, so I'm always ready to give it, which can backfire on me sometimes, because they'll take it because they need it, but then a lot of people don't really know how to reciprocate what I'm giving to them. So I end up giving so much to the world and to people, and getting very little back in return, which I'm not really. I'm not saying that to say that I regret giving what I've given to people, because it was fulfilling for me in the moment to be able to help someone, whether it was just in that moment or in a lifetime. In fact, someone just posted on one of my posts the other day that how much I was there for them, and how much I helped them, and how much I helped them feel seen and heard. And I would never have really thought about that. And this was like 10 years ago that I was interacting with this person, but it meant a lot to me, because I know it just made me, it was kind of like a payment, right, for what I've done. And I'm not talking monetary payment, but it was just kind of like, okay, you're doing the right thing. Don't stop doing what you're doing, because you are changing people's lives, whether you know it or not. You are helping an individual, whether it's in that moment. So I don't intend to change the way I approach life and people with the love and openness that I do. What I have learned to do is I have learned to recognize whether someone is taking advantage of what I'm given, and I've learned to save myself sooner than I have been in the past. So it's been a really great learning experience for me this last couple of years. But LA has been beautiful. when I was younger, I always said that I was going to come to LA and build my acting. Yeah, I always said I was going to come to LA, build my acting career, and then take it back to Dallas and build my family there. The unfortunate thing is that when I came to a certain age, I kind of shifted my plans, because I met someone that said that they loved me and they wanted to build a life with me and build a family with me. The problem is that when it came to actually getting the job done, we couldn't get it done because there was always an excuse as to why it wasn't the right time, or why it might not be a good idea right now. A lot of the issue with that person was monetary, and looking back now, I realize how sabotatory that person was to our development as individuals and as a couple. And as people that were trying to accomplish things together. There were things that I was trying to accomplish that they said that they wanted to help me accomplish, but when it came to the action of it all, they really didn't want to. So when I look back and I think about like all the conversations that we've had, and then all of the times where we set like dates to do things, and then the date would come, and then there was always a reason why we couldn't accomplish what it is that we set out to accomplish at the time, and it's usually because I didn't do one particular thing right, whether it was putting it on the calendar or reminding them even though I've put it on the calendar. And I've spent so much time adjusting and readjusting my approach to my marriage, trying to create what it is that I wanted to create with that marriage. So much so that I've given up careers to build this other person up, to make this person feel like they were worthy of the life that we were trying to build together. But what I had learned in therapy, in a couple of years of therapy, was that there was absolutely nothing that I was going to do that was going to be right, because that person didn't want it to be right. So once I came to that realization, right, one other thing one of my therapists said was that I was in love with the potential of what we could do and what we could create versus what was actually happening in our relationship. She told me to recognize, to really pay attention to the pattern of what I was doing, and then the pattern of how he was reacting. And it was just really interesting, the process of going through all of that. There were days where I would not push, and the results would be the same. There was nothing happening. And then there were days that I would push and push and push, and then nothing would happen because I'm being too pushy, or I'm trying to wear the pants in the relationship, or whatever reason it is that I was causing issues for that person to actually follow through on their promises. So I really had to just get to a point where I had to realize that the time that I've invested in this was there was not going to be a payoff, not the payoff that I wanted anyway. So I really had to come to a conclusion that I was okay with letting go of that particular dream. Now, the issue, the sad part is that you end up mourning that life that you had invested so much time in, that you'd given up so much for. I gave up a lot of my youth for the potential of having this beautiful family that I thought it was going to be beautiful. It could have been beautiful had I had a partner in life, but I didn't, unfortunately, have a partner. And that's something else that I had to realize, was that I didn't have a partner. There was him, and then there was me. There was me trying to create a partnership, and then him only wanting to be a partnership when it worked for him. So I really just had to let it go, and I found that I had a really, really hard time letting it go because, and then, okay, so I'm not really here to speak on this whole Puff Daddy thing, but I think that the people there, I saw a meme one day that said, Cassie wasn't a victim because she stayed for 10 years in her relationship with Puff Daddy. And I'm here to say that I understand why she stayed as long as she stayed. She stayed as long as she stayed because of the promises that were made, because of the plans that they made together, because of the things that they wanted to accomplish. And it wasn't even just about the plans. She thought she had the same, and I'm not really trying to speak for her, but I'm just speaking on for myself and while my relationship wasn't physically abusive, what I learned through my therapist was that I was in a mentally and emotionally abusive relationship, which is a whole new devastation in itself, right? Because I have witnessed physical abuse in my life, because I've seen other people do it to other women in my life. And so I kind of felt like I was kind of lucky because he never laid a hand on me. But what I didn't realize was the years and years of damage and trauma that was being inflicted upon me because of all the broken promises. And then it wasn't even just broken promises. It was like the arguments and the fights that we had, and then all the low hidden, under the belt hidden that he did verbally. And, so I didn't really, as I mentioned before, I didn't have that traditional family growing up, and he knew that that's what I was aspiring to. And so he would dangle that in front of me like a carrot, but then at the same time he would throw things in my face about like how I didn't know how to be in a marriage because of where I came from or who I came from and things like that. And then the problem with that is that someone like me who has prepared themselves for a life of marriage and was really dedicated to this marriage, I started to actually question myself. Like, is he right? Am I really the issue here? Am I really, do I really not know how to do this because I've never really had a good example of this, right? But thank God for therapy. Ladies, men, gentlemen, anyone, just if you're ever in a place where you're uncertain but you're right, therapy helps. Therapy really helps. And it's not so much that they're telling you you're right, and you have to be honest. You actually have to be honest. And that's one thing I was able to do, was be brutally honest with my my therapist and let them know all the different things that I've tried, even when I was being saucy and things like that, or I'd get into a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do me, you do you, and then we'll meet in the middle, because I've even tried that, and that didn't work. I tried where I was the housewife, and that didn't work. I tried where we both worked, and it ended up being that I was doing double duty, so that didn't work. And it was just, there was nothing. There was absolutely no scenario in this marriage that was going to work. So I really had to come to terms with that. And one of the other things that I had a hard time, one of the reasons I had a hard time letting go, was that I was hoping that tomorrow was always going to be the day, that whatever it is that needed to click in his brain to help him realize that I wasn't his enemy, and that I was actually trying to build something great with him, and that I was actually trying to build him up and help him feel like he was worthy of the life that I wanted for us. It was just it was just so much time that I gave, and so much of myself that I gave. And I always told myself that it was okay, because if this doesn't work out, I can always get back to that. And I wasn't realizing what it was actually doing to me and the trauma that it was inflicting on me. So now I'm in a place where as soon as I recognize bullshit in someone, as soon as someone has broken a promise, it is almost the PTSD comes back, and then I'm just like, I cannot be a part of whatever this situation is, and I really haven't explored relationships with other men at this point, because I'm really just kind of freaking scared of getting back into something where they're just going to switch up on me again. So a lot of the trauma had been brought back in work situations, where one time I was working in a restaurant, and they put me in a leadership position, but they didn't really give me training, right? I was pretty much training. I did 2 days of training, and then I was on my own, because the people that were training me were either fired or quit. And I kept getting promises from the bar director that was directing not only the restaurant that I was in, but also a couple of other places. Oh, tomorrow we're going to meet, and we're going to go over things, and I'm going to teach you this and teach you that. And what would happen is that he would call me and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I have a meeting in blah, 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 blah. So can we do another day? I'll try to come, I'll promise to come tomorrow, or something like that. And then tomorrow would come, and then there'd be another reason why. Or he'd show up and he would not have time to stay to help with what needs to be helped. So I kind of self-trained myself in that situation. And there was another job situation that I went into where, again, I trained myself and the support wasn't there, and so it's just been a lot of those situations that I've been dealing with that has really triggered my PTSD in that. So with that, I decided that it was just best for me to go into the freelance world. In that way, I wasn't beheld to anyone's false promises, or stuck in a situation where I knew that they were lying to me, but I had to bite my tongue so that I could keep the job or not get fired or whatever it is. So it's just been a really real struggle. I did find a really great community here in Palms, Culver City, Los Angeles. I had met some really great ladies. One of my now friends, Mia, started this really great group called the Ladies of Palms, where we started off meeting up. The first couple of months was really good because we would have like bi-weekly meetings where we'd like do potlucks and talk and cry and laugh, and it was really good. Now the events have kind of weaned off, and I'm hoping that maybe we can get back to that. But what I did gain from that were some really good friends that came and supported me when I performed, and that are still encouraging me today to keep performing. But not only that, but they're also supporting me in my business, because I did start a business as a professional organizer, which has had its ups and downs. I've met some really great clients through it. Some of them were long term, and some of them were just one and done. But it's just been a really good experience, and I think it's the closest thing that has come to me being as creative as I can be in my world of film and television. So so it's been really cool. But tonight I went to a really amazing event at this new place in Inglewood called the Tribe, and it was really cool because I feel like I really did meet some amazing people that I could absolutely see being a part of my tribe, and I can't wait to see what happens with those relationships and see who really meant what they said and who came through, and of course it is a part of my job to follow up with them as well. So I'm really, really excited to see what happens, and really excited to get back to work as an actor. And so with that being said, welcome to the first episode of This Little Life of Mine, and I look forward to talking to you guys more and letting you get to know me a little bit, or a lot of it. You might get tired of me, who knows, but thank you so much for listening. I just really had to get that out and introduce myself, because I got really inspired tonight, and to tell my story, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. And I look really cute tonight. So I thought, why not? Let's just go home, get this recorded, and send it off. So stay tuned. Feel free to ask me any questions that you want to ask me. My website is tadinelucia.com, where you can see what I'm doing right now. It's a work in progress, as is anything in life, right? So see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening.